Father Malachi, not a good man, he wore the robes, he spoke the holy words, but his heart was a cold, dark stone. He lived in the old church. The church stood on a lonely hill. Wind howled around its stone walls. It sounded like lost souls crying in the night. He often felt like a lost soul himself, forgotten by everyone. He felt unimportant, a speck of dust in the grand scheme of things, and he hated that feeling more than anything else. He wanted more than dusty sermons, more than lukewarm tea, more than the nodding heads of sleepy villagers. He craved respect. No, not respect, he craved fear. He wanted them to look at him and tremble. He dreamed of power, real power, the kind that could shake the very foundations of their boring, predictable lives. This desire gnawed at him day and night, a constant hunger that nothing seemed to satisfy. He imagined their faces filled with awe and terror. One stormy afternoon, thunder rattled the stained glass windows. Boom! A crash echoed from the bell tower. Father Malachi grumbled, annoyed by the interruption to his dark brooding. He climbed the creaking, winding stairs. Cobwebs brushed his face like ghostly fingers, making him shiver despite himself. Up he went, towards the forgotten attic storage, a place no one had dared to enter for years, rumoured to be haunted. He felt a strange pull, a cold excitement in his veins. There, amidst broken pews and moth-eaten tapestries, he saw it. A section of the floorboard looked loose, different from the others. Strange. He knelt, his old knees cracking in protest. His fingers trembled as he pried it open. Beneath it, nestled in the darkness, lay a book. It wasn't a normal book. Its cover was black leather, cold to the touch, almost unnaturally so. No title, just a strange seven-pointed star embossed on its surface. It pulsed with a faint, unseen energy calling to him. He snatched the book. His heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. He scurried back to his private chambers, clutching the tome to his chest. The shutters were closed tight, blocking out the dying light of the storm. Only a single candle flickered, casting dancing, ominous shadows on the walls. The book felt heavy in his hands, heavy with secrets, heavy with promise. He ran a finger over the strange star. A tingling sensation shot up his arm, a jolt of forbidden energy. This was it. This was what he had been waiting for his entire miserable life. The pages were like dried skin, brittle and ancient. The script was bizarre, twisting symbols he had never seen in any language. Yet somehow, as he stared, he understood. The words began to whisper in his mind, not in his ears but directly into his consciousness. They spoke of creation, they spoke of destruction, they spoke of bending reality to one's will, godlike powers. His breath hitched in his throat. This was beyond his wildest, darkest dreams. This was true power, absolute and terrifyingly alluring. Why him? Why was he chosen to find such a thing, a relic of such immense potential? Perhaps the book sensed his hunger, his deep, aching need for control, for significance. He had always felt superior to the simple folk of the village with their mundane lives. They, with their petty concerns and their blind faith in things they couldn't see. He deserved to rule, not to serve some distant, uncaring deity. This book would be his instrument, his scepter, his crown. He would show them all. He pored over the ancient text for days, lost to the world, forgetting to eat, forgetting to sleep. The whispers grew louder in his head, more insistent, more seductive, like a siren's call. One spell in particular caught his eye, seeming to glow faintly on the page. A spell of minor influence, it was called. It promised to make others see things his way, to make them agree without question, to make them obey his every command. He licked his dry lips. It was time to test the forbidden knowledge. The next Sunday, the church was unusually full. Villagers huddled together, their voices low as they whispered about the recent violent storms. Father Malachi stood at the pulpit, a commanding figure. His eyes gleamed with a new, unsettling light that flickered like the candle in his chambers. He clutched a small, hidden piece of parchment in his sweaty palm. On it, he had painstakingly copied the symbols for the spell of influence. His moment had arrived. He would start with something small. Something to test the waters. He began his sermon. His voice, usually dull and monotonous, now held a strange, compelling resonance. He spoke the ancient words. not the holy words they expected, the words from the book. They felt alien on his tongue, yet powerful. He focused his will, his entire being. He pictured the villagers nodding in unison, agreeing with his every pronouncement, his every subtle suggestion. A faint purple aura shimmered around him for a split second. So quick no one could be sure they saw it, but they felt something, a change in the air. A hush fell over the congregation, a silence deeper than reverence. Then one by one heads began to nod. Not in sleepiness this time, but in complete, unwavering agreement. Old man Hemlock, who argued about everything from the weather to the price of bread, suddenly praised the priest's profound wisdom. Martha, the village gossip, sat silent for once, her face a mask of rapt attention. It was working. A thrill, cold and sharp, shot through Father Malachi. Power, sweet, intoxicating power. It tasted better than he ever imagined. But something changed within him that day. Something fundamental. The small spark of shared humanity he once possessed, however faint, began to dim. His smile, when he bothered to offer one, no longer reached his eyes. They became colder, more calculating, like chips of ice. He walked with a new, arrogant posture, his back straighter, his chin higher. The whispers from the book grew stronger in his mind, urging him towards greater feats, darker desires. The initial thrill was now a burning addiction for more. Soon, Father Malachi wasn't just influencing thoughts with subtle whispers. He was commanding the elements themselves. He made the heavy church bells ring with a mere flick of his wrist, their clangor echoing his newfound dominance. He caused a sudden, localized drought on Farmer McGregor's land when McGregor dared to question his new exorbitant tithes. Fear, thick and cloying, spread through the village like a plague. They brought him gifts, the best of their harvests. They bowed low, but they whispered behind his back, their respect curdling into terror. His appearance began to alter, mirroring the corruption within. His skin grew paler, almost translucent, stretched taut over his sharp bones. His fingers became long and bony, like the talons of a bird of prey. His eyes, once just gleaming, now seemed to glow with an internal malevolent fire, reflecting no light. He rarely spoke. When he did, his voice was a dry rasp, like stones grinding together, sending shivers down every spine. The priest they knew was gone, replaced by this creature of terrible power. He was less human, more an extension of the dark book itself. The villagers lived in constant dread. Children were hidden away when he passed. The once lively market square became deserted, its cobblestones echoing with silence. They knew they had to do something to escape this tyranny, but what could they do against a man who could summon lightning from a clear sky or make the earth tremble? He had become their dark god, demanding obedience, reveling in their fear. The book was always with him, its dark whispers his only companions, his only counsel, poisoning his every thought. But the book demanded a price, a terrible price. Each spell drained more of his life force, his very soul. He grew powerful, yes, but he also grew empty, a hollow shell animated by dark magic, his humanity flaking away. In the end, he tried a spell too grand, too ambitious, fueled by his insatiable greed, a spell to grant him immortality, to make him a true god. But the book, in its cruel, ancient wisdom, twisted his wish. He became an unmoving statue of obsidian, forever clutching the forbidden tome, a permanent, terrifying monument in the desolate church, a silent warning. For some power is not meant for mortal hands, and the hunger for it can consume everything.